Hi, everybody. This is Megan from Bridie Travel. And to get in the spirit of St. Patrick's Day, we are going to talk about a little bit about Ireland and specifically about the Wild Atlantic Way, which is the longest coastal route in the world. And it's really spectacular. So I have a special guest with me. Her name is Katie from Katie Daly's Ireland. And she is someone I've been working with since I started in the business, but it's been like 5 or 6 years. And she's helped me curate some amazing itineraries for my clients. And she's just my go-to Ireland gal. So just a little bit about her. She is originally from Ireland. So we get to hear that awesome brogue. And she is from County Meath, which is now considered the ancient East. She grew up in the countryside with her 3 siblings and her hardworking parents and lots of animals. She moved to Manhattan in 1994, and then she moved back to Ireland to get her degree in marketing. And then she moved back. So she's been here about 20 years, and she's living in Queens with her husband and her cute little dog, Martha. Welcome I thank you for joining me, Katie. I'm super excited to have you so we can dive in a little bit about like what we can expect with the COVID changes and we'll just get talking, just talk about in general planning a trip to Ireland. So when do you think we can travel again?
Okay, Megan, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be chatting to you today about Ireland and all things Ireland on the eve of St. Patrick's. So, look, travel to Ireland right now is not feasible for international visitors. We are hopeful that the mid to end summer and God willing by fall that international travel will have resumed. Now we know that things can change, but right now we are doing bookings for 2022. So if you have clients that are thinking of going to Ireland in 2022, we're actually working on that now, so they can contact you now for 2022.
Perfect. Yeah. And I would say definitely a year out, you'd say, right? Just especially with tours and stuff, I think they're going to be really booking up, and occupancy levels are going to be lower too. As of right now, I mean, things can change. So, but the earlier you book, the better. And then
there's a lot of pent up demand for travel to Ireland, and people are very eager to get going, me included. And I think you included too. I do think, that hopefully fall and 2022. And I also like the Irish season, typically the tourism season back in the day was kind of the summer months.
Right.
Ireland offer the international visitors 12 months of the year. And I think that's kind of important. There's festival events. The only thing about traveling in wintertime is it is dark at 4 o'clock in the evening. But hotels have better occupancy, and generally the airlines have more competitive rates in the off season. So for people that are looking for that kind of last minute fall trip, I would certainly say to them to contact you to get working on it now.
And honestly, we personally went. We went about I think we went 6 years ago. And we went in February, and because it was the only time we can go, and I was actually pregnant. So it was like just that perfect time, like that I could actually travel, like that perfect window. And we went in February, and it was off season, but it was amazing. Like there's less crowds. The castles are like a quarter of the price. So, you really get a lot for your money. I mean, I know it's a little cooler, but it's not. The temperatures in the fall or in the winter months aren't like super cold like it is in Chicago or New York. I feel like
nowhere in Chicago.
Right. Right. I know. So, but it's honestly, it's warmer, or a little bit warmer. And it did snow one night when we were at the Dromoland Castle. It snowed just a little bit and then it had stopped. But if the people are okay with that, if you want to save the money, I definitely agree with you. It's a good time to travel for sure. Yeah. So what changes do you think we'll notice, when we are ready to travel to Ireland?
So I think obviously, like Ireland and the rest of the world have seen a lot in the past year, but the Irish tourism industry are working very diligently and have been since day one. So the tourism bodies in Ireland are Tourism Ireland, which is responsible for overseas marketing, Fáilte Ireland, responsible for marketing on the ground, and Tourism Northern Ireland. And those three bodies have been working very diligently with government officials and with healthcare officials to put procedures in place for travel to Ireland in the new post-COVID world. And so there's two things probably to note. Most hotels now will have what's called the COVID-19 safety charter. So this means that they have done training to ensure that they can that they can reopen safely in the post-COVID world. So it's called the COVID-19 Charter in the Republic and the Good to Go in Northern Ireland. And this gives, it means that the environment, the hotel or the visitor experience is safe for visitors, it's safe for staff, which is very important. And it also clients the reassurance that when they see that sign, and most hotels in Ireland that you and I will be booking will have that safety charter. So that's the first thing, just to, that we want to reassure clients that Ireland is open and it is safe to travel. And then the second thing, in terms of will the experience be different, Ireland is known for its Céad Míle Fáilte, and the suppliers on the ground, the hotels, the visitor attractions, they've worked very hard, and they've also been very creative in coming up with new ways to make it work, to ensure that the visitor has the same experience. Cleanliness, there's of course massive new guidelines towards cleanliness. A lot of the hotel rooms will have fogging machines, like deep cleaning machines. They'll have those in the vehicles. We're going to see the visitor attractions, it will be a one-way system. So it'll be in one door and out the other door. But probably more and more, we're going to be booking our time. So there's not going to be people gathering just waiting online to get in. So, and it probably will work better. So for smaller groups, which is what we both do, like either FITs or smaller groups, we're going to see a lot of pre-booked visits. Even in the hotels, all the social distancing guidelines will be in place. We might see, especially in the, in the restaurants and the bars. So we're going to see all those guidelines that we see here in New York, and I'm sure in Chicago, in place in Ireland. And as I say, we just wanted not too much to the fore, that they can still enjoy the same welcome that Ireland is renowned for.
For sure. And honestly, I was reading there was something about how travel COVID has changed travel. And I really don't see like those pre-booking times for like getting tickets for certain things or limited occupancy. Like, I don't see that going away anytime soon. So, but honestly, it's like, I personally like it. I like knowing that there's not gonna be too many people. I don't have to wait in a line. Like this is my time, I'm going. So honestly, I feel like it's a good thing. It's the one good thing that came out of COVID. Helps control crowds a little.
And in the big cities, I think it's a really good thing. And then I think in the smaller cities, for clients that have their own driver guide, the driver will know, okay, we're going to leave early because we want to get to the cliffs before 11 o'clock, because after 11 it's when it's too busy. So, that, and even if your clients are driving themselves, which a lot of them do, we'll mapped out. So it'll be, tours actually are going to be a lot more personalized and a lot more careful detail put into every tour.
Right, for sure. All right, awesome. So I guess we'll just dive into the Wild Atlantic Way. So I know I had mentioned it is the longest coastal route in the world, and it is honestly spectacular. Like, just those views everywhere you go are stunning. And they just keep changing as you drive, south to north or north to south. But it does drive through 9 counties, and it will start in the south in Cork and Kerry, or yeah, Cork and Kerry. It's funny because we have a bar in our neighborhood called Cork and Kerry. And then when you drive north, you'll go to like Donegal and Sligo. Is that as far north as it goes?
It actually it starts in the Inishowen Peninsula up in Donegal, which is,
Oh, okay.
and ends in Kinsale and County Cork. So a
Oh,
lot, because Ireland is such a small island, and for anybody that's listening, Ireland would be the size of Rhode Island. So
it's long.
300 long miles by about 200 wide, maybe a bit longer. So it's a very small island. So for it to have the longest coastal route in the world, people can't. But when you go travel all those little inlets and outlets on the Wild Atlantic Way, it's 1,500 miles.
Yeah,
So
and those take a long time. Yeah,
miles.
it's not like something you can just do in a day. Like it could be, if you do Dingle Peninsula, that could easily be a half day. Kerry, if you do all
Yeah,
of Kerry, that could be a whole the ring. It could be a whole day. So
yeah,
it's like people really have to plan ahead and pick and choose what they want to do if they're limited on time, for sure.
yeah. So and that's what you do, and that's what I do, is we figure out what it is they want to do and what it is
Exactly.
important to them on their trip.
Right. And then people too. So everyone that's coming from the US, they drive on the other side of the road. So sometimes it takes a little getting used to, but
Yeah.
I always, because my clients always freak out about it. It's not that bad. I mean, it's funny because you'll start going to the other side of the door, like like I'll want to go
Yeah.
into the driver's door, or if I'm the passenger. It's funny, but you get used to it.
And we kind of say to people who are coming into Dublin, if you're coming into Dublin first and you're spending a couple of nights in Dublin, I think you don't need a car in the city. You really don't need a car in the city. Do
Right.
your 2 Dublin, you've got over your jet lag, you're a bit calmer, you're ready to roll, and then you pick up your rental car. Or some people actually say, look, still not that comfortable driving, but I want to get down to Cork. And we'd say, all right, you know what, we're going to book you a train. You're going to get down to Cork, spend a couple of days in Cork, and when you're leaving Cork, then we'll get the rental car and you can continue. So there are other ways. We've some people that
For sure.
want kind of pretty much book, but they might want to drive or guide for a few days.
And
But
oh, go
Mhm.
ahead. Go ahead.
Shannon is just about really two and a half, maybe 3 hour drive. So it's not that far. And
Sure.
there's Dublin to Limerick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like the drive from Dublin to Galway is super easy. Like it's literally one road. But if you
One,
are driving like Dublin to Cork or something, you're driving through country roads. So I love that they have the train as an option now. Because I
yeah,
think when we went, they were just like starting, like it wasn't that popular, but I feel
yeah,
like it's a great option because it's like you can really just take in the countryside, just get where you need to go and then pick up your rental car.
yeah,
Give you a
yeah.
couple hours for sure, or maybe even a few hours. Yeah, no, that's good.
And
So
we take your time. Like, just take your time. You might veer off, like you've mentioned, the road from Dublin to Galway. There's some nice stops along the way. You can stop in Clonmacnoise, you can stop in Kilbeggan. Just take your time. Don't be in a rush, and enjoy the little stops along the way.
for sure, because there are some really cute towns you don't want to miss, that's for sure. So the options to fly, if you do want to just focus on the Wild Atlantic Way, like you can, majority of people do fly into Dublin, but there is Shannon Airport, but Shannon Airport's more seasonal. Would you say it's probably more like summer months?
It
Right.
is, pre-COVID, there was a lot more routes coming in and out of Shannon. We're still not sure, and
Oh,
hopefully we will see, the return of, most carriers in and out of Shannon as well as Dublin.
yes.
But it's just, it's a little too early to tell, but we're hopeful.
Right. Because I know, well, in Chicago, we have a really big Irish community here. So it's in the summer months, we can definitely see nonstops to Shannon, but it's a hit or miss. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll add some. But if not, Dublin, it's not that too out of the way and it's easy. So,
And as you mentioned, it's a straight drive across to go. So it's a straight on the main road. It's about just over 2 hours and you're in Galway.
Right. Yeah. It's like it was our favorite road. Because you didn't have to think, you
Yeah.
can just
And for that are coming in, we designed the tour that looks saying, pick up your rental car. And it depends. They might want to come in and do a night in Dublin, just take it easy before they get on the road. But we'll work all of that out.
Yeah, definitely. And then so some popular, because like obviously you may not be able to do the whole Wild Atlantic Drive because it is it's obvious super long. So there are some popular points like you can start in Killarney, do the Ring of Kerry and Dingle, and then go up to Galway, maybe do a little Connemara, and then or you can start in Galway and go north or go south. So there's a few options and you can still see, I mean, it's all spectacular. So it's not like you're missing, I wouldn't say you're really missing anything. But yeah, we definitely, like if you are planning a trip, if you're definitely use a travel professional, because then we can advise you on the best route to take based on your travel dates. And
so much, and we've talked about this, there is so much to do along the Wild Atlantic Way, and as we've mentioned before, the more we know about our clients, then the better that we can design the tour for them. And we've mentioned some there of the highlights of the Wild Atlantic Way. Cliffs of Moher, 700 feet, over 300 million years old. We have down in Kerry, which is a little inland. I know we talked about the Killarney National Park, in 26,000 acres or hectare, one or the other. Anyway, it's quite
it's huge, yeah.
And then Putty Reeks, down in Kerry, they're the highest mountain range in Ireland. The focus, probably the main point for tourists in Killarney National Park, would be Mucker's House and Gardens.
Yes.
Biggest visitor there was 1861, was Queen Victoria.
Wow.
So farms out on the Wild Atlantic Way. And probably, it's funny, pre-COVID, say for 2020, I had booked a lot of kayaking for clients.
Yeah.
And I guess there's kayaking, and then there's kayaking out on the Wild Atlantic Way and the Atlantic Ocean in the sunset. And I think that's a really beautiful way to end a day's touring. So we were seeing more and more of that. And I think we're going to see a lot more, of activity-based tours. You mentioned Connemara. My last trip to Ireland, which was actually in November 2019, pre-COVID, I spent a lot of time in Connemara, and it's beautiful, it's remote, it's rustic, and it's got some really hidden gems in terms of accommodations too.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. We went in the winter time. So another thing to think about if you are going in winter, some of these like coastal towns, like when you get to Clifton, which is basically the point where, like, because Connemara is a loop and Clifton's at the corners, or like basically at the end of the coast. Everything was like closed down when we went, and there was only, I think we found one restaurant, but it was amazing. I mean, there was maybe one other person in there, but it was amazing because we had like, I think we had fresh like seafood chowder, and it was like the best seafood chowder I've ever had. But it was just so people have to keep that in mind too. So things would be a little closed.
I do think, though, that we're going to see more and more of the tourism season extended, especially post-pandemic, that we're going to see it coming into, even into Christmas. January, got Trad Fest going on. There's just festivals year round. The only difference, as I say, mentioned, is that it gets dark early.
Yeah, right.
4 o'clock, you're ready to sit by the fire. Nice glass of wine or pint of Guinness, and it doesn't get better than that anyway. So.
No, right, totally. And especially if you're staying at a really nice castle, we definitely enjoyed our afternoon teas, and as I was pregnant, so I did have a little bit of Guinness, but yeah, that was our favorite time, was just to sit by the fire and be cozy, and it was perfect.
And it's nice you mention it, because afternoon tea now is huge in Ireland. It used to be just mainly the 5-star hotels, but now everywhere you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's afternoon tea. So it's a lovely.
It's good. It's fun. It's fun to do. So let's see. Um, I'm just looking through my notes to make sure we didn't miss anything. Um, okay, so the Wild Atlantic Way is definitely something we don't want to miss. And like I can't wait. I personally can't wait to go back and drive and do some and see some of it with my son. So for those of you that don't know, my like Ireland holds such a special place in my heart because my grandparents are from there. My grandmother is from my grandmother's from in Newport and Mayo, and then my grandfather's from Ballylongford and Kerry. And I got to see both of their towns where they grew up, and I actually got to see my aunt or my grandma's cottage that was still standing, and got to see the family farm. And it's just the people. It's just amazing, and I just can't wait to go back. So just tell me more about some of the, like in general, like, because Ireland, there's so much to do and see. We could spend hours talking about Ireland, but like, what are some of like the fabulous experiences that like people shouldn't miss in Ireland in general?
Well, I think you touched on, like you say, Ireland is a very small little country with a big heart, and people come for scenery, they come for culture, they come for music, festivals, history, but I think they really do come to meet and interact with the Irish people. So Dublin, just to take you on a quick whirlwind tour of the country, Dublin is the capital city, very, very intimate. It's over 1,000 years old, and Lonely Planet voted it, I think, a few years back as a friendliest city in Europe. Then we go up to the six counties, Northern Ireland, where we have Belfast, Derry, Fermanagh, all along beautiful Antrim coastline. They launched a new brand, Embrace the Giant Spirit, just pre-COVID. It was a pretty amazing brand experience. So they've like now 23 new brand ambassadors, and these are really locals on the ground that have got involved in tourism. And you can come, whether it's to Glenshane farm in the Sperrin Mountains. And again, if you don't do the sheep farm down in Kerry, you can do it up in Northern Ireland.
No.
And look at the sheepdogs in action. A beautiful experience. Or, Tracy's Farmhouse Kitchen on the shores of Strangford Lough. It's a half hour outside Belfast. You go in, she has a beautiful home, a beautiful location, and you can learn how to make brown bread, or,
Oh,
so the
awesome.
amazing experiences. And then if we go further down the coast, say into the Hidden Heartlands, which is more rural, more intimate, that would kind of more rustic and more outdoorsy experience. There's an amazing place there called Clonless House in Roscommon. It's on 800 acres. It's over 1,000 years old, and that's open for tours, for people to book in tours. And we can tailor any of these tours to suit. If they have lunch in Clonless House, they'll work on that. So it's a pretty amazing experience. Then we obviously have the Wild Atlantic Way, and then back to my home where I'm from is Ireland's ancient East, and that's 15 counties with 5,000 years of history. So the Newgrange is located in County Meath, and that's actually older than the pyramids. So that's just like a little, kind of whip around Ireland. A lot of people come to Ireland to golf. I think it's very important for people to know that a third of the world's championship courses are in Ireland, which is huge. Another just kind of off the beaten track attraction that's pretty amazing is Spike Island off Cork. So it's just off the coast of Cork. It's like we call it Ireland's Alcatraz. You just take a little ferry out. It's about 15 minutes on the ferry, and that's 1,300 years of history. So it was a fortress, monastery, and once upon a time, it was the world's largest prison. It held 2,500 prisoners once upon a time. So that's it opened its doors in 2016, and they have amazing daytime tours, nighttime tours, bespoke tours, and different tours. And I think you touched on it there, Megan, as well. It's very hard now to not talk about food, our whole food experience in Ireland. we're now known as one of the top food destinations in Europe. And we weren't always known, but we have pure natural ingredients. Again, for 2020, I had lots of food tours booked. People want, and it's a great way to interact with local people, is taste the culture, taste the island. So it's pretty amazing. You can do seafood tour, or you can do seafood tours, but you can do city tours where you're walking around and tasting little bits of the city from different vendors. Seaweed workshops, foraging tours, pretty amazing food experiences out there. And then our accommodations, I think, are world renowned. We have some of the top hotels in the world in Ireland. And there are the castles, there are the high-end castles, and they're amazing and beautiful. There's also beautiful castles out there that aren't quite as high-end, but as beautiful. The last time home, I got to stay in kind of a variety of accommodation, and I stayed in Ballynahinch Castle, way out in Connemara. So there's 48 rooms, and it's on 700 acres.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
amazing. We have lighthouses, working farms, bed and breakfasts, lots of private rentals, Megan. If you have small families that are saying, look, we want to kind of, take it easy and be safe, there are so many different options.
That's what we want to do when we go.
Until the, I'm not saying the lower end, but the more affordable. And as, like for a family, it can be affordable to stay in self-catering. So there's just so much to do and see for all budgets, for all ages. You mentioned bringing your son. Like it's great that, that we're catering to different demographics and different,
Right.
And a lot of kids, all they want to do is just be connected to Wi-Fi. That's all. But so it's my job to make sure that these kids are out and about and running and rolling through the fields of Ireland.
I know we can't wait to go. We hopefully will go in the next year or two. It's on our list. It's on my very long list. But I'm trying to go back because I want to go see my extended family again. But I want to rent a house and actually just take the time and stay, because like when we went, I had it in my head, and I get this from all my clients, like they're like, I'm never gonna go again, I have to see and do it all. And then when you're there, you're like, oh my God, I can totally come back here. Like it wasn't that big a deal, because I thought like we weren't gonna come back, and I'm like, we're never gonna be able to travel, we're having this baby. But no, it's so funny, like the things you think, in your head, and it's easy to get to. I mean, it's not a terribly long flight. And like we flew Aer Lingus, and it was super comfortable. But yeah, and there's just so much to do outdoors for kids, and it's so safe. Like everywhere you go, like that is like the number one thing, is especially if you're going with your kids, like or even as you're going as a couple or family or whatever, it's just like one of the safest countries you can go to. I mean, obviously any big city, there's going to be issues like Belfast and Dublin, but like it's just like going to New York, Chicago, but majority, it's so safe. And just the people, everything about it is just spectacular. So I can't wait to go back. And I never heard of that prison. So and that's why I'm so glad, like this is why I have people like you, because then I get to keep learning, because I can't keep going back, so I have to, it's just like learning little nuggets that are great.
Absolutely fascinating. And I think it was just last year that they found a staircase from way back. I'm not exactly sure, but it was just discovered last year. So it's
I know, because if you try to go to some of the other islands along the Atlantic coast, the water can be super choppy because it's the Atlantic. So is it the same when you're south in Cork, when you try to go to that island?
Shorter, and it's probably only about 15 minutes, whereas the Aran Islands, I think that's about 40 minutes, and it's right there on the Wild Atlantic Way, so it can be it can be rough. And then down in the southwest, like in Cork, they've got some islands out there. I think it's Jersey Island, which is a population of 3 people, and you can go out and visit there. In the, like, there's so many islands kind of
Yeah.
along the coast. You can also go out to the Aran Islands from Galway, obviously, but Doolin have got some nice options where you can go out to the Aran Islands, and then when the ferry comes back in, you do a cruise of the cliffs, which is
That would be amazing.
uh,
Your point of view too. I bet it's
amazing.
overwhelming. It's just probably so overwhelming to see it like that because it looks probably even more enormous than it is when you're on a boat. But I have a funny story about the cliffs real quick. So we went, when we were there, it's super windy when you go to the cliffs, no matter what time of year. But we happened to go during a terrible windstorm. Like my family, we ended up meeting my family later that night. And they were like, this is like the worst wind we've had all year. And of course we went, and I remember like we had our hoods up, and it was just like, we were being blown away. It was so funny. But so I can't wait to go back and
But
see.
your experience, though, like it's something you always
We'll
remember.
never, oh my God, we'll never forget it.
Yeah, of course. That's what makes the trip.
Right. Exactly. I know. It was so much fun. But yeah, it's such an amazing place. So I definitely recommend anybody going there, add it to your list. But do you have anything else to add before we go?
No, I think it's great. I think, as you say, if any of your audience are listening and they're thinking of going, get booking, because we're really hopeful for a great 2022. So, contact you. I'm super delighted to be working with you, Megan, as always. And I know um, we had some lovely bookings for 2020, and hopefully we'll be back in business again. And it's just such a pleasure working with you, whether it's honeymoons or families or you're amazing to work with. So I think we work well together. Anybody listening, you're thinking of Ireland, contact Megan, and we'll make the dream vacation for you.
No, thank you for that. And I just want to point out too, like, so I work with Katie, who is like, she is my go-to person for Ireland, where, I mean, there are other bigger companies, but it's just like booking with another huge tour operator, whereas like it's more personalized. I get more personalized service, and you're going to get more personalized service like as a client. And it's just nice, rather than just booking some random tour, like I can actually personalize it for you. What's one thing I want to point out is, if you want a private driver, they're not as expensive as you think they are, and especially if you have a group, you can really split the cost, and it's more affordable than people really think it is. So yeah, but if you are ready to get booking, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can go to my website at bridietravel.com, and then we can get you started and get you to Ireland sooner than later. So thank you again for joining me.
My pleasure.
I truly appreciate it. And I can't wait to start booking some more Ireland trips with you.
Great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.